One of the most beautiful things about Janice is her smile. It is very attractive to see her. I can remember even when I was in high school, we went to high school together, her smile was radiating. It filled the room, and when we were in club together, I can remember sitting across the room watching, saying, what a beautiful smile that is. She also has a very engaging laugh, and I describe it as rising above the noise of the crowd. And she has an adventurous spirit. One of the things that we enjoy is being outdoors and doing things, and doing some crazy things, such as advanced driving schools, and she actually lets me teach her how to drive high-performance cars, so she's got an adventurous spirit. So those are things that attract me to her.
You know what I love most about Steve is that he can just be himself. I knew that I was in love with him when we were in a movie theater, and I looked over at him, and it was a 3D movie, and he was sitting there with his glasses on, with the 3D glasses on top, and eating his popcorn. And I just looked at him and I thought, he is so comfortable in who he is. I love that man. That was my response. But we also have a really fun, comfortable, very easy relationship, and conversation is easy. And I knew that because we have history back to high school years and university. I already knew that about him. So there was a great base before. Dating looked very different for me because it was a second marriage and there was a lot of hurts that had gone before. And we actually had a long distance dating relationship. Steve was living in Cambridge and I was living in Barrie. And so for a few years, we talked every day. We kept in close communication, but we didn't see each other as often. And that was very healthy for me. I needed that time to process. I needed time in between, and I needed not to feel like all of a sudden we were dating and he was going to the same church and he was around all the time, and that was just really healthy for me. But as time went on, the visits got closer together and we were able to see each other more. And so it was just a beautiful natural progression, and it built a lot of trust in me, and I needed that.
Well, getting to the specifics of it, she said it was very simplistic in our approach to dating. We did a lot of things that we both mutually enjoyed. There was a lot of, for example, there was a lot of walking around the waterfront. So we were both attracted to water, and so Kempfelt Bay was a wonderful spot for us to, walk kilometers and talk for hours. And we also did a lot of things like hiking. We cooked a lot together. That was a lot of fun. We learned what we both like to eat and prepared meals together with each other. And I had mentioned earlier about our advanced driving. One of the things that we both enjoy is a Mustang. We have a Mustang, and we would take wonderful drives in that. And our favorite spot, romantic spot, was to drive to Palm Beach and enjoy the world-famous sunsets there. And to all those out there listening, we watched those sunsets in the front seat of the Mustang.
I felt that by the end of our dating, or throughout our dating, that I really knew what doing everyday life would be like with Steve, and that is what I wanted, and that really drew my heart towards him even more.
And called me old-fashioned. I see dating as much like dancing, and the man has to take the lead. And by that, when I was dating Janice, it's about really allowing her elegance, her beauty as a woman to shine above me, and that she would really be shown off as a special woman. And I refer to Proverbs 31, where it's about strength and dignity as a good woman. And so that was what I felt my role was in dating was to really to showcase the type of woman that she was and let her shine.
Marriage to me is a covenant before God, and that I took very strongly when we got married. I knew that I had been very disappointed that I had told my children that I would never divorce, and I took that very seriously, and I meant it when I promised it. And so that was something that I really had to process when Steve and I got married, that our covenant could still be honored and it could still be followed through in the same way by both of us being committed. And I didn't need to own anything else except that my responsibility throughout the relationship. So that was huge for me.
My take on it would be that marriage is a gift from God. It also is what I would call a promise contract. That is, she is for me and I am for her only. And that is also a relationship that's based on a partnership where equity is involved. And it's being equitable is like being reasonable, fair, justifiable, even-handed, impartial, and rightful. So it's not necessarily an equal relationship, it's an equitable relationship. And in terms of advice, I would encourage everyone to have the attributes of love in your relationship with your partner that you're dating or with your spouse. And that comes from 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Now, one of the things that's above our bed in our bedroom is that we had a 4x8 sign painted up that has that what love is. And so every time we walk into our bedroom, it's a reminder to us of what our love is to each other and how love is really God-breathed and inspired. So that's what I would advise.
One thing that was very important to me when I married Steve was to be super clear that I didn't need to change him, that I was okay with loving him just as he was forevermore. And that was very clear to me, but that was very important. And the other thing we've talked about quite a bit is that we want our love and how we love each other to be a representation and a great reflection to our kids on God's love, as well as to our neighbors, to our grandkids, and we've been pretty purposeful in that, talked about that a lot.
This was an interesting one when we were discussing it, but one of the things that came to light was really to know your spouse's love language, what really makes her tick in terms of who she is, what she likes, and not only, knowledge is power, but you actually have to act on it well, be purposeful, be intentional when you're in love, to make sure that your spouse feels confident about who she is and what she is. So I would say that's first and foremost with regards to pursuing Janice, is really understanding her love language, and in the end making sure that she ends up being a very confident woman for who she is and what God has given her.
I think communication is huge as well. He can't read my mind. I can't read his mind. And so to make sure that you're being clear about what you need, what you desire, what makes you feel loved, because he can't just guess. I heard a speaker a while ago talk about a story where a lady decided that when she was getting married that she would pick 10 things that she would just let go whenever it happened. And then she never did make the list, but as she was going through her married life and he would do something that might annoy her, that she said, well, it's a good thing that's one of the 10 things. And I never forgot that. And so often if something is happening and maybe it's not the way I want it, I think, is this a major or is this a minor? Is this one of the things I can let go? And how can I communicate better to him as to what does make me feel loved?
From an advice perspective, one of the things I would stress is that you have to make each other a priority. If you are in love, make the other person your priority. Take the time to be with each other. Hold hands, go for walks, and drives in a muscle car. But tell her you love her.
And let her drive.
Yeah, and kiss her often. Plan date nights. That's always a fun way to pursue each other, is just go out and do some really interesting things that both make you feel good. One thing that we love to do is to listen and dance to our favorite music. No one sees how crazy we are or how bad a dancer we are. And then I would say, go to bed early and don't sleep.
I think we both tend to do the same thing. We both tend to shut down pretty quick, and that goes back to our hurts from before. And so it has been a journey. One thing that has been very important is to make a conscious decision that no, I need to either apologize for this or go to the other person. For me, one of the things that has helped me do that is I have a line that I repeat back to myself, or that is the way I want to live, and it says, I am a woman who loves radically with grace. And so I actually, when I'm in that, I have to think, is this loving radically with grace? And there's been a few times where I'm like, no, I'm not. And so I just need to suck it up and go find you.
Well, Ephesians 4:26 says, don't sin when you get angry, and basically that's no name calling and belittling of your partner while you're in conflict, and don't let the sun go down with your anger. And what that tells me is that you really are to pursue reconciliation with your partner. And for me, that's about fessing up when I've been wrong. So confessing and mending fences like the farmers would do. Be out there quick to mend your fences with your partner, so that the good things that you've been corralled in your life doesn't escape because you've been angry for a long period of time. So
one of the things that has been very important for me that Steve does so well is that he makes me feel safe. And so I don't worry about his expressions or his anger, or he never makes me feel unsafe in that. And I have often said to him, we can be having an argument and we can go out somewhere socially or go to church or go wherever what it is next. And I know that we will come back to it and we'll solve it together, and it makes me feel incredibly safe, and that's important.
Well, if I go off, it's the realization that everything good comes from God. So that would be James 1:17 to 19. So, which is to say, be thankful for the circumstances that God's put you in. We mentioned that we've been married almost 6 years now, and we are appreciative of all the things that God has blessed us over those 6 years. One of the most remarkable things is the blending of our families. We have 4 adult children, all in their 20s. Some have their own spouses now, and they've all come together. God has brought them together to build a very strong family unit, and we are now blessed with 2 grandchildren as well. So that to me is the secret to the longevity, is appreciating that God is really at the heart and blessing us.
I think knowing, he mentioned it at the beginning of what he was sharing, that we are so aware of what we have and how incredibly God has blessed us, and we say it to each other all the time. And I'll often say to him, like, you're really terrific, right? Like, you're amazing. And he doesn't see it, but sometimes when you've had different, you are more appreciated. And I think we both see it pretty clearly, and we know the blessing that we have, don't we?
Well, we did talk a bit about it. It's really I often joke with Janice that the man is commanded to love his wife, and
With a twinkle in his eye.
Yeah, but if you go further beyond that, it's as Christ has loved the church and gave himself up for it. So sacrificial love is really, as I had actually written some notes about this, it's about, again, putting my wants and my wishes, my needs in the background to really capture and promote what Janice's interests and wants are. And again, for the purpose of really building her up so that she will be a successful woman that she is. The scripture refers to Christ presenting the church sanctified. And that's really what sacrificial love is for a man to his wife, is to, give of himself so that she will be successful. So.
He does that so well and is such a great example about that, because he will constantly, what do you want to do? And he has no ambitions himself except to do what I want to do. And he loves so well. He loves me so well. And so he's always a great example of that, which then makes me want to do the same back. But I think, just like he said, it's putting the other one first and not paying attention to our needs or our desires, and being willing to go ahead and totally lean into what it is that they want.